Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Natalie, and on my channel I like to do all kinds of beauty, fashion, thrifting, shopping, makeup, collabs, all kinds of stuff. And so if you're into that, hit that subscribe button. I'm also going to be including some travel, different places that I go. If you've been around here very long, you know that I went to Spain in February. Um, I am doing a little series where I talk about Spain and my experiences in Spain. I've already talked about Barcelona, so if you're interested in Barcelona, check out my other video. Today's focus is going to be Madrid. Madrid is an absolutely wonderful, beautiful, big city. I loved it. I'll tell you that. I loved it. We took the high-speed train from Barcelona to Madrid. It only took like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, but by the time we got there, it was close to evening time. We ended up staying in a small, like, hostel-style room in Madrid. This was only because my husband didn't find room, which was totally fine. It was a nice place. It was well taken care of. It was cool.
Yes.
Decorated really nice. The only thing was we didn't have our own bathroom. But the bonus to that is there was no one staying on the floor that we were on, so we were the only ones using it. Anyway, I want to talk about three to four main things that we saw in Madrid. First off, we saw the Royal Palace. That was only a couple blocks away. So we passed it when we were like walking different places. We had tickets to see it the next day, so we ended up going then. It is a massive, massive like complex. It's huge. You can't really take videos or photos inside the palace itself. There's only a few spots in the beginning that they let you take pictures of. The rest, they were like, no photos. I did sneak some pictures where I wasn't supposed to. My husband wasn't real crazy about that, but I just did it. He's a rule follower. I'm a rule breaker. They didn't turn out to be like the best photos I ever took, so I guess that's what I get. Anyway, it was so much opulence. Like everything was gilded. It was just absolutely like overwhelming how beautiful this place is. I do not think that it is, I think the only reason they use it now is maybe for like formal events, but it was so cool seeing how each room was a different theme. It was a different color theme, but everything was like gilded. It was wild. There is nothing in the United States that is that opulent. If there is, let me know, because I have never ever seen anything like that. And it was honestly one of the highlights of the trip for me. It was just amazing. And it was like, I kept thinking, like, how was there so much money, like, in the world at that time? Like, that they could just make this, like, crazy, like, extravagant palace. I mean, I know that's how it was, but, it was really super cool to see. I suggest if you're going to see the Royal Palace, you get online and you buy your ticket in advance. We bought ours on getyourguide.com. They have an app, and I downloaded their app, and it was so useful. Before we went, I ended up booking all of these, they weren't excursions, but like tickets to museums, different places we wanted to see, but we didn't want to wait in line. So I ended up booking all of those, including the Royal Palace. We ended up waiting in a small line, nothing crazy. Like, it was a line, and then they just were like filtering people in. It was not, we were like waiting to get a ticket, none of that. I didn't want any part of that. Waiting in line at all, period. I know everyone hates to wait in line, I including myself. So that was like a great way to do it. Definitely worth going to see. especially if you've never been like out of the country. If you find yourself in Spain, definitely, especially Madrid, definitely see the royal palace. It was out of this world. Um Next we went that very same day we went to the Prado Museum. So I was like really, really beyond excited about going to the Prado Museum because I knew that they housed so many important works of art. Um, as I've said before, I'm kind of an art history nerd. Uh, so this was like my Super Bowl. Um, the Prado Museum has the artwork The Garden of Earthly Delights, and if you haven't, I'm going to pop it up in here, but if you haven't seen it, it is so interesting um to look at. Basically the theme of it is God, Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Everything's peaceful and wonderful. Then Eve got everyone in trouble by eating the apple. Excuse me, and my allergies are going crazy. And then humanity fell into sin and, you know, all of the earthly delights. So in the middle, it's a triptych. In the middle, it portrays all of indulgences of life on earth. Um, the next panel is the descent into hell for indulging in all of these things, all of these indulgences, extravagances, sex, drinking, rock and roll, you know it. It was breathtaking. I never ever in my life dreamed that I would get to see that, and I was just so overjoyed that I did get to see that. There were also very tons of very, very important artists, El Greco, Goya, Velasquez, who else? Who else? I did specifically love seeing an artwork that was called Queen Joanna the Mad. This is about Isabel and Ferdinand's daughter. She lost her husband, but allegedly she carried her husband around in a casket with her for the rest of her life. This is a super interesting piece. Like I love when women are like, you know, the main subject of an artwork, which was uncommon back then, really. Um, so Isabella was said to have had her servants carry around her husband's remains because she thought that he would wake up eventually. This was in Madrid. We ended up seeing her coffin and her husband's and Isabella and Ferdinand and her nephew interred in the Royal Chapel of Granada. We hadn't been there yet. So we saw this artwork and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have this. I have to have a print of it." It was so moving and beautiful. So anyways, I'll tell you about that when we head over to Granada. So many important artworks. I mean, like, if you go to an art museum, you can see really cool stuff here in the US, but stuff there is just ancient. There are so many ancient things. You know, they had, what was super striking to me is that they had like stuff they took out of an like really, really old church, but they had it set up in a room like it would have been set up in the church. It was so old. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy old." So yeah, we saw that. We did the Prado Museum. We ended up going home or going back to our Airbnb that night, but we ended up walking across town. My son really wanted to see a place called El Corte Inglés. Him and his Spanish teacher had talked about this place and he really wanted to see it. So we were like, okay. And it happened to be at a time that we were all completely exhausted. We were exhausted. We hadn't eaten anything. It was just a crazy, crazy time. So Yeah, we went to El Corte Inglés and it was really cool. It's like a 7-story department store. The bottom floor has got like a deli and like a higher end grocery store, and prices were really reasonable. All the other floors were like women's, men's, housewares, that kind of stuff. We did end up buying our dinner in the grocery store instead of going out, and we took it back with us. So, it was neat to experience that kind of store in Spain. I would say maybe not comparable to Walmart. It's not. It was like just kind of higher end. Um, we also got to see a really cool like procession. I don't even know what they call it, but they were moving. I ended up looking it up later. I took a picture of a poster.
How'd you know?
If you zoom in, you can see.
Well, I know, but like earlier you said
But
because I've seen,
we were walking around looking.
I've seen stuff about it.
Have some tacos.
Mrs. Clark would know what's going on.
And we came upon a procession in the middle of the street. I mean, it was like they were carrying. It was probably, let's see, 10 men had this float on their shoulders, and they were rocking back and forth, carrying it through the streets. There was a full horn section. They were playing music, incense. I'll never forget the smell of that incense. It was just kind of awesome. And I had seen this happening like as I was watching stuff about Spain and YouTubes and stuff. I'd seen different like parades, but I didn't think that I would ever get to see it, and we got to experience it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. We ended up stopping at a different place for tapas. I still was not impressed with the tapas scene yet. What I can eat is a lot different than what a lot of people can eat, so I don't know. I can't get too excited about stuff like that because I can't really eat most of it. Anyway, I ended up getting patatas bravas, I think is what it was called. So this particular one was like flavored like curry, which I like curry, but I think I only want it here and there. I don't want curry a lot. But it was really good. It was good, but I got bored of it. You know what I mean? Anyway, it is true that people go out at like 10 o'clock at night. Like that's when they're eating dinner. And they are, it's their whole family. They're taking like their little children with them out to the bars. I don't have anything to say about that, negative, positive. It's their way of life. But 10 o'clock at night, I was like, uh-oh, getting tired, getting sleepy. I wasn't ready for a night of bar hopping. We did end up staying out a little later than we did most of the trip, but I don't know. It was just cool to see. We did end up going to this to a market that was awesome. I thought I had it written down. Mercado San Miguel is where we went.
I think Eric should get this with cash.
We ended up getting like a different variety. This was a different day. A variety of different tapas. They offered all kinds of wines. The wine was awesome. I was so happy because I got to drink Spanish wine. I have I don't know if it's like an allergy. I think it's either an allergy, intolerance, something. When I drink wine, it hurts my stomach real bad, and I just don't feel good after drinking wine, and I'm not into doing that stuff anymore. Like I don't want to feel bad. So my husband ended up finding these drops. They're wine drops. So you drop them in your wine and you mix it up, and it takes all the histamines and sulfites out. I've never been tested for a wine allergy, but I'll tell you what, when I use those drops, and I still use them, I felt great. Like no hangover, it didn't hurt my stomach. It was like perfect. So I will continue to use those. So I can drink wine now. I'm so happy. So I did end up having wine at that market. It was awesome. And I think that's about it for all we saw. We ended up seeing some high-end shops. I mean, just like any other big city, there was like Dior, Gucci, that kind of stuff. I'm not interested in going in those places because I know I can't afford it. But my son was into it and he was like, come in with me. And I'm like, I don't want to. So he didn't end up going in. We just ended up taking a picture outside. But what I thought was so striking about Madrid is like just the absolute beauty of like architecture and their parks, and you know, all their just regular buildings are just beautiful. Um it's a vibe. It's a vibe, guys. I plan to come back, but I think when I come back, I'll spend more than a couple days. Um, Next up, what I'm going to talk about is Granada. I'll put that in a different video. So yeah, if you guys like me talking about what we did when we were there and all that stuff, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.
Look at the chandeliers are being pulled up.
Looks like they're what?
The chandeliers are being held up.
Yeah. Look, there's another.